Welcome to Takeaways, Life Lessons Learned. All right, my guest today really doesn't need an introduction. All I have to say is your name, Deryk Engelland. That's it.
Oh, thanks for having me on the podcast today. I'm excited to be here. It should be fun.
How do you say your last name?
Oh, man, it depends who you ask. England. I just say England. It's just easier.
How would your parents have said it?
They say England, but if you go back, Engelland is...
Okay.
But I think it just got changed over time, and just say England, because if you don't spell it out, everyone just spells it just like the country. So
right.
You just kind of get used to it.
I say it like the country, but there's like a...
England,
yeah. Cool. Well, let me do your official bio.
All right.
So it says right on your official bio that you are known, most notably known, as one of the Vegas Golden Knights' original misfits. So you played for the Knights from 2017 to 2020. Before that, you spent 3 years with the Calgary Flames, and before that, 7 years with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Originally, you're from Edmonton. You moved around a bit, I understand, as a kid, eventually settling in British Columbia. Did you really start skating before you were one? Or right around there?
In my backyard, my dad made a rink, and I think as soon as I could walk, I had skates on pushing a chair around. So it's kind of like football and baseball down here. Hockey's everything up in Canada, and it's cold enough to put a rink in your backyard. So we'd get out there whenever you could.
So skating around 1 year old, playing hockey, actually playing at 5 years old. Your current title on your email signature is Special Assistant to the Owner of the Vegas Golden Knights. I understand that you work for the Vegas Golden Knights Foundation, and that you and your wife, Melissa, also have a foundation of your own.
Yeah, it's kind of molded. We started after 1 October, we started our own foundation, Angos Heroes. But since retiring, and I'm the first alumni, so we started the Alumni, and me and Shane Knighty. And our pillars for the Alumni were very similar to mine as Angos Heroes. The community, first responders, stuff like that, underserved communities. So we kind of just molded our foundation into the Alumni so we could just focus. And I think having ex-players coming in for a golf tournament or poker tournament, whatever we're doing, it's easier to sell that than just me by myself with the foundation. So it's been a lot of fun so far, and we've had some good showings at the golf tournaments and a couple poker tournaments.
Awesome. So in addition to your official bio, you're a father, you're a great husband. I understand you and Melissa celebrated 18 years.
Yeah,
anniversary.
18 years on the 22nd.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're a sports commentator. You're an ultra runner, a golfer, a public speaker. You mentioned you're the first Vegas Golden Knight alumnus. You're a new puppy dad.
I am.
A philanthropist. And I would add that you're an absolute asset to our community. So welcome to Takeaways, Deryk.
Oh, thanks for having me. Yes.
Oh, thank you for doing this. I'm sure you've got other obligations, but I asked and you said, yeah, I'd be happy to come down.
Yeah, no, it's nice and close, a stone's throw from my house here. So it's easy to get here.
So those are my words. Tell us in your own words, who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, well, I was born in Edmonton. My dad was a millwright welder, kind of finding his way when we were young. So we moved around lots. And then he once he did get his welding and millwright ticket, he worked in Marathorpe for 3 years, and we moved out to Chetwynd, BC, where they still are today. He's still working at the same job at a sulfur plant. So they've been there ever since. I moved away at 16 to Sicamous, played junior B hockey. After that, got scouted. I started fighting in junior B at 16. My D coach told me it would probably be a big asset to maybe mix it in because I was a bigger, more physical D man. So first fight, I dropped the gloves and beat a kid up pretty good, and kind of that's.
You're 16 years old.
I was 16 years old, and I think I fought 3 more times that year, and that's kind of what got me into the WHL, which is the major junior league in Canada. And I played 4 years in Moose Jaw from 17 to 20. I wasn't the most skilled guy or Didn't score a lot of goals, but I could fight, I could hit, killed penalties. Big part of my whole game throughout my whole career was being a good teammate on and off the ice, and just being a good leader. So I was drafted by New Jersey in the 6th round in 2000. Didn't sign with them after 2 years, so went back to juniors. And
so New Jersey was a pro team?
Yeah, the Devils. Yeah, okay. I was drafted.
You can
drafted
see what
there.
I know about hockey, right?
Yeah, it's all good. It's
going to be an education process.
Exactly. So I didn't sign with them. Went back into the draft, didn't get drafted. Went to Vancouver's camp, the Canucks. Back to juniors as a 20-year-old. And when I finished juniors, I thought hockey was done. So I went home, started looking for a job at the mill.
How old are you at this point?
I was 20.
20?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking for a job in the mill. Didn't work out.
Not a good employee?
No, I didn't work out physically, like in the gym or anything. So I really thought hockey was done.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And, I probably priorities were, go with my buddies, have some beers, probably too many beers. I got pretty out of shape. I think, in June, when Calgary finally called me a week before their summer camp to go there, I was like, yeah, for sure. I think my GM in Moose Jaw helped me get in there. And I showed up at the summer camp. I was 242 pounds and a high body fat. So it was eye-opening. So they asked me to move to Calgary to train with their trainer. And absolutely. So they put me in a billet's house, trained there. And that was kind of the first look into how they train and stuff. And because I was working out with other NHL guys. And after that, moved to Vegas, played for the Wranglers for 2 years here in Lowell, Massachusetts. Then bounced around the minors for 7 years before I got my first call up to the NHL. And I got called up.
Are you earning a living in the minors? Do you have to have a side job? What's that like?
Well, you don't earn. Back when I played in the minors, it's a long time ago now. I think the minimum you could make was $35,000, $30,000 maybe. When I was in the East Coast, it was $500 a week. So they paid for your your living and stuff like that, but it wasn't a whole lot. So in the summer, a lot of guys got jobs and stuff. And I think by the end of my 7th year, I think I got up to maybe 75,000. But back then, before the lockout, if you wanted to go up and down, you had to make under 105,000, or else if you made over, there's something about the call-ups that you wouldn't get called up ever. So a lot of guys made less. A lot of guys went left and went to Europe once they got older because they could make more money. And since then, it's changed a lot. A lot of minor league guys, I don't know what the minimum is now, but a lot of the guys in the minors can make 6 figures, especially as you get older, or one-way deals. If you sign for, say, 800 in NHL and they really want you, that's your salary wherever you play. So it's definitely, they're taking much better care of you now than they did back then. But I think I learned a lot. Learn how to budget things. And, as a 21-year-old coming to the States, living in Vegas, it was eye-opening going out for the first time. And when I met Melissa and I think I bought 4 shots and 4 drinks, and I was getting ready to pay, and they're like, that'll be $120. And I just about choked. I was like, oh my God. Melissa's like, no, I can help you pay for this, because she was cocktailing at the old Imperial Palace while she was going to school. And I'm like, no, I wanted to be the gentleman, and called my mom the next day. I'm like, Mom, you got to deposit some money in my account. I ran out last night. She's like, what did you buy? I'm like, 1 round of drinks. She's like, oh my God. So it was eye-opening and a lot of fun. And after, like I said, 7 years, finally got called up, and then I played parts of 11 years in the NHL. And now I work for the teams, like you said, special assistant to the owner, but I don't know exactly what the title means. I think it was more so I wasn't locked down to one department on the team. I'm kind of it's a Swiss Army knife. Whoever needs me, in the office. If it's, I've skated guys when the team's on the road, if they're coming back from injury, broadcasting, that was, not brought up when we, agreed to our, contract for working after, but I really enjoy that. Millard and Elliot and Lawless are great. Shane and Dave are great to work with. So it's been a lot of fun, and then a lot of community stuff. I'm very passionate about the community. I love Vegas. So being able to give back and help raise money and awareness, for all the charities we get to donate is a lot of fun.
When you say skate with guys, what does that mean?
So if they're coming back from being injured and they're not ready to come back on that road trip, I was running them through drills, okay. Just so they stay in shape. And, usually back, when I was doing that, Misha Donskoy, who's now in Dallas, was a skill guy, and he would just send me the drills, and then I'd kind of run the guys through drills just to keep them going. So someone's out there. It's, they got the strength guys and the trainers, but, be on the ice with them, having someone to pass to them or run the drills, it goes a long way, because going out there and skating by yourself, it's not a lot of fun. So, just kind of
mentally taxing.
Yeah. Just to push yourself. You can push yourself, but if someone's out there, pushing you a little bit.
First of all, it's like you've got someone to meet you at the ice.
Yeah.
It's like I don't have to come up with my own willpower to get myself out there. And
yeah.
When you're out there, to have someone to, work with. I could see that.
Yeah.
You mentioned Melissa.
Yes.
You have a wife, 2 kids.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Wife and 2 kids. Met Melissa here at McMullen's Pub, in 2003.
This is on Tropicana across from the Orleans.
Yeah. So we used to play in the Orleans with the Wranglers, and they had a deal at McMullen's after every game. We could go there for $5. They'd give us a meal. So we'd go there after every game, and she was just there with one of her best friends that we're still good friends with now today, and seen her sitting at the bar where we were eating and had to stay late. And
how you doing?
How you exactly try to throw out the vibe. I wasn't very good, I guess, at it, but I invited her to a game that we played the next night or 2 nights later, and we had a break after that game. So I'm like, come to the game, and we're going to go out as a team. You come out with us. And so she shows up to the game, and I get in a really good fight, beat the guy up pretty bad, and show up at McMullen's, and she was supposed to meet me there, and she didn't. And I didn't have a cell phone back then, because they were new, expensive. Mm-hmm. And so, I had to take her number old school way, write it down. So I had to borrow a phone, call her. I'm like, why, you're not meeting me? Or she's like, you're kind of crazy. Like you just drop your gloves and beat some guy up on the ice. She's like, I don't think I want to be a part of that. I'm like, no, it's part of my job. She had no idea about hockey. So I had to explain that's part of my job, what I do. And I'm like, just come, give me a chance. And she ended up coming, thank God. And here we are. I said 18 years married now, and 2 boys, and a 12 and 8, and a brand new puppy, which she says is my dog. So I'm up with it every morning. And I'd say it's Cash, my oldest son's dog. When we go upstairs, it's beeline straight to his room and stuff. But,
what kind of dog?
Boston Terrier with a little bit of French Bulldog in it. So we had a Boston before.
Boy, girl?
Boy.
Before
we got her, right after we got married in Hershey, and she passed a couple of years ago. So the boys have been begging us for a dog. So we finally took the plunge and got them a puppy that is my dog now. So
congratulations.
Yes. Thank you. It's fun though. He's adorable.
What's his name?
Moose. Yeah. So we had 3 names: Moose, Biscuit, and Cheeks. And we just asked everyone their top 2 names, and Moose was hit the most. So that's how we came up with,
that's funny,
with Moose. So yeah.
So before we get too far into takeaways, I ask everyone the same question. So I want to ask you, what has been the single most influential thing or event in your life that shaped you the most?
And it's only one, right?
Of course.
Only one.
Why? How many come to mind?
Oh, there's There's a couple. Obviously, meeting my wife, and she's been a big part of my whole career to getting to the end. But maybe before that, I would say my first call up, getting called to the NHL. I thought I was doing everything the right way. But getting called up and seeing how the NHL compared to the AHL guys took care of their bodies, ate, worked out, communicated on the ice, how the leadership, the team was first, was really eye-opening for me. I was up for 10 games, played 9 of them before I got sent down, never got called up again that year. So I think that really molded me into the player I became, with the help of obviously Melissa. She's been a huge part, and my family back home, obviously hats go off to them for everything they've done. But that was probably the biggest influential thing in my career that really shaped me getting to where I got to.
So what was there something like, was it immediate observation? Was there a moment that rang your bell? Was there a person that took you under their wing?
There's
and said,
a couple.
Listen, you got to quit partying. And
no, it wasn't even the partying, just sitting back and seeing how the top athletes in my sport took care of themselves. Everyone goes and has some wine or beers or whatever it is, but the picking the right times or how they ate, the night before, the game days. I was fortunate enough, obviously, called up in Pittsburgh, so I got to play with Sid at a young age, and seeing that, him and Malkin was absolutely a dream come true, to learn from guys that are 5-6 years younger than me. They really took care of you. You called up, they'd text you hey, when we got on the road, meet me in the lobby at this time, we're going to dinner. You try to pay, they're like, absolutely not, you're not paying. Brooks Orpik was another one that I really looked up to, how he played the game. He was a physical guy, didn't have to fight or anything like that, but still good friends with him as well. So just how they took care of themselves was just a big eye opener for me, and really changed how we approached our summer to train for that next year.
Got it. So I got to get this part out of the way. So how you and I know each other is our sons are in the same tennis program.
Yeah.
I'm born and raised in Las Vegas. I went to a Wranglers game as part of like a youth group outing once.
Yeah.
That was the only probably hockey game I ever saw before the Knights came here. And even then it's like, oh, hockey's cool, I'll go. And it's more social than anything else. I think I first met you. We have a mutual friend, Ophir. We all went out together to a UFC fight. I think Conor McGregor was on that card, if I'm remembering.
Man,
that might have been when he shattered his leg.
The Poirier fight.
Yeah. And we all kind of went out afterward.
Yeah.
But then I really know you as Deryk Cash's dad from tennis.
Yeah.
So I was super surprised as I'm researching you on the Wikipedia, the Deryk Engelland Wikipedia. It says, and I quote, "Throughout his career, Engelland was best known for his physical play and fighting abilities." I'm like, fighting abilities? This is the nicest guy. Like our tennis program, there's a ton of nice people there. It's like one's nicer than the next. And all of the nice people talk about you and Melissa as like the nicest of the nice people. And I'm like, this guy's a fighter? And you just talked about it also with Melissa's second encounter with you. You're beating somebody up.
Yeah.
So I cracked up. You got to explain this to me. What is this about?
Yeah, it's that's kind of what got me to the next level every time. I said back then, when I was 16, that starting to fight kind of got me into the WHL, and then you fight some tough guys there, and then you're a heavyweight, and everyone wants to fight you there, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. I never got beat up real bad too many times. Got dropped a couple times. Had some good shiners, but it was fun. I wasn't the biggest guy, but I fought a little bit more technical. So fighting the guys that just like to throw, it was not easier for me, but easier to fight when you fight technical. So, and every level, that's just kind of what got me to the next level. I got called up to Pittsburgh for 9 games, and I fought 4 or 5 times in those 9 games, and kind of started to make a name for myself. Actually, funny story, George Larocque, probably one of the toughest guys to play in the NHL. He retired, I think, 2009. So he's still going. 2012 might have been his last year, but he was hurt. So I was kind of overlapped him a little bit, but he said, I seen him at the rink right before the draft doing a learn to skate with some of the draft picks. He's like, yeah, I was researching you before you came up because you were making a name for yourself in the AHL, and in case I had to fight you. I'm like, oh, thank God I didn't, because he was pretty scary tough. I watched a lot of his fights, and he hurt some guys. He's a big man, super nice guy as well. But going back to the niceness, it's great to hear that from other people. But I find if in the hockey world, some of the nicest guys on the team are the guys that go out and put their body on the line for their team. On the ice, some guys, switch goes off and that's their game. They do it, but then they get in the locker room and they're the best guys on the team, or outside the rink, they're the best guys. They'll do anything for you type thing. So, I
have so many questions about this fighting thing.
Yeah.
Like, did you grow up a fighter before hockey?
No.
You getting scraps? Did you?
I think
schoolyard, bars,
schoolyard fights, couple. I had one in roller hockey. Guy I knew wanted to fight me, so everyone showed up from school, and we were on rollerblades and
one of these meet at the flagpole.
Exactly,
kind of
that type of thing. But no, I fought, maybe 3 or 4 times growing up, and then when
nothing out of the ordinary.
Nothing.
You're not like a scrapper.
No,
looking for trouble.
Never looked for trouble. Tried to stay out of it. Don't like confrontation. My wife tells me that all the time because she gets mad when we get in an argument. I just want it over with because I don't want to have a fight. But no, it just I learned that that's what's going to get me to the end goal, and I had fun doing it. It was, going back to my hockey career, I didn't fight a lot in Vegas when I was towards the end of my career, and it's probably the thing I miss the most about the game. I didn't do it a lot at the end, but I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was it's like getting in the octagon, one-on-one, and see who comes out on top. So it's a lot of fun. Ryan Reeves got traded to us. I fought him a few times. So he kind of took that role. I didn't have to really fight. He did, and I was playing a lot more than I ever had before. So, I kind of got away from it a little bit, but it's a big part of my career.
So I already confessed I don't know much about hockey. I learned a lot since the Knights got here, and you get to go to games, and I sat next to a very nice Canadian fan one day, and he was very gracious, explaining some of the things for me. I had a coworker here, a shout out to Brendan Leak, that I'd come to him like, all right, why do they keep flicking the puck and they blow the whistle and they bring it back? What is it? He's like, that's called icing. And he really had to explain it to me. So I still don't know a ton. Explain to me the role of the fighter and why you would say like, that's part of my job.
Yeah.
Ryan Reeves did it, so you didn't have to explain that part to me.
Like when I was in Pittsburgh, we had 3 or 4 guys that would fight anyone in the league. There was more of it 20 years ago than there is now. The game's getting faster, and guys don't have to do it as much. They're making some rules that. Why
would you have to fight? Why would you?
Oh, kind of policing the game. The refs are out there and they're calling penalties and stuff. But if a guy that is known for running around and cheap shots type thing, but he sees 4 guys that are pretty tough on the other team, he might not run around as much. And if they do, back in the day, they'd have to answer. You don't want a third or fourth line guy.
When they say like the enforcer on the team,
you're just
That's what you're enforcing.
Yeah, you're enforcing that or
behavior in a way.
Yeah, type thing. You're making sure no one's taking cheap shot. Like, for instance, Mark Stone, say, or Jack Eichel.
Mm-hmm.
Someone runs at him, someone should go, and at least back in the day, it would be a fight for sure. Now, at least talk to him, give him a whack or something, let him know that, hey, that's not going to be allowed out here. And then on the other side, if your team is playing like crap, it's a spark. Team's playing like crap. Okay, hey, go to the other tough guy. Let's get things going here. And it lifts the bench up. Guys get going because they know you just put your body on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get going. We're playing crappy. Let's go. So, you do it for those two things most of the time.
What's an example of a cheap shot that you would see as a player on the ice that maybe the ref wouldn't see or the cameras don't catch?
Yeah. Hit from behind. It's
like with a stick?
No, like a body check from behind where the guy can get hurt, or, just your top end guys. You don't want them getting hit because you don't want them getting hurt. You want to win games. You need your top end guys to be as healthy as possible. So if someone's running around trying to take liberties on them, hitting them a lot, you go over, let them know, and hopefully they listen. And if not, maybe it escalates into a fight or something like that. So it doesn't have to be a dirty hit. It could just be a clean hit and they're running around doing a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
You just give them a little warning, and if they don't understand it, then maybe it escalates into a fight or whatnot. So
what's the difference between a clean hit that's acceptable and a dirty hit?
If from behind, obviously,
it's never
okay. Neck injuries in the boards, stuff like that. Elbows, if you're skating by, elbow guy in the face, dirty hits like that. It's just hits. Now that there is some bad hits that the game is so fast, you can't control.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're going to hit the guy falls, whatever. It happens.
And then what you say, I'm sorry?
Sometimes some guys do. Some guys don't care.
Yeah.
And those are usually the guys that you're aware of that are out
That's
there.
Who you
and
go fight.
That's the guys that you have to maybe give a little warning to, type thing. But, there's lots of guys. Some guys are just reckless on the ice.
Mm.
And that's when guys get hurt. If you're controlled, I think George Peros with the player safety is doing a good job with suspensions. I got suspended a couple times for, a couple hits to the head, but the first one it happened so quick. My arm came up, hit in the head, 3 games. It happens. And the next one, kind of similar thing. I got 5 games. So
besides not being able to play, are you financially penalized too?
Yeah, you don't get. So if you're not a repeat offender, you don't get paid for the game day. So it was my first 2 years I got suspended. So it hurt. It was a good chunk of change when we're just financially finally getting stable and able to do some things and all that. So, that 5-game suspension was, I think it was $25,000 or something like that. So
that's real money.
That's real money.
Wow.
So you know what? At the end of the day, it does go to the player assistance program for guys that are having issues after and stuff. So it does go to good help former players or whatever needs help. But you try not to get suspended too often.
So that makes a lot of sense now, kind of closing the gap between the Deryk that I know and your personality and the way that you describe, like, it's my job to keep order on the ice, so to speak, on behalf of my teammates.
Yeah, more or less.
You mentioned you're a technical fighter. So I actually said this to Melissa about this whole, like, I can't believe that he's known for this because he's so nice. And she's like, go watch some of his fights. So I did. I went on YouTube, Deryk Engelland fights, and born and raised in Vegas, no professional sports team really until the Knights got here. The only inkling of something that the community got behind was 90s Rebels basketball.
Yeah.
Everyone went and got hats, shirts. We were united as a community. But the thing I got into, sports, was Ultimate Fighting, mixed martial arts, Ultimate Fighting Championships. My cousin Eli, who always laughs at me, name 5 NFL quarterbacks. maybe I can get to 3 or 4. I don't know. Technically, I can appreciate a game in sports. I don't really know what's happening. Mixed martial arts, this is where I get to make fun of him. He's like, they're just hugging. I'm like, they're not hugging. Here's what's happening. Here's what you're not seeing. Here's the positioning. Here's all that. So I watched your fights. I've observed you as a fighter. I'm going to give you my observation and get your reaction to it.
Sounds good.
You have a high fight IQ on the ice. I noticed you grab usually the right arm, but whatever the dominant arm is of your opponent. Either you're holding their bicep or you've got the sleeve with one hand. You either come in real close on a clinch so they can't really hit you or get much leverage, or you stay at a distance, but you're always holding that one arm there. When they hit, you're pretty good about either moving their arm, or because your hand is there, if it does hit you, the sting isn't quite there. And then you just wait for your shots. You kind of pick your shots, and then you've got knockout power. You probably figure that out at a certain point where you can do this. And if you connect correctly, you got one guy in the temple that I saw, one guy score on the chin, and then they go down.
Yeah.
How'd I do? Is that the strategy?
Bang on my... it didn't always work if you didn't know the guy was a lefty and you grab the right arm and they start feeding you with the left. But most guys throw right.
Watch tape before?
I never did. A lot of guys do, like scout
Apparently
out.
The guy that said to you who's been researching you.
Yeah. A lot of guys watch that or train boxing and stuff. I never did any of that. Just learned as I went, So, I tie up always that arm and to lighten the blow a little bit. It didn't always work for real tall guys because they get past your arm anyways. And if I did try to go toe to toe, that's when I took a few and had to regroup and slow down and wait for my opening, like you said. But that's probably the best scouting report on me that I've heard. That was really good.
I also noticed that you shake out your hand. Are you pulling your sleeve over your hand? What are you doing when you...
your elbow pad. Take your elbow pad off. So if they do tie you up, your jersey's easier to slide up and down your arm without your elbow pad. And it's just more free. You can throw...
So you're shaking off your elbow pad so you have range.
Because your elbow pad doesn't always stay there. Even when you're playing the game, it'll slide down to your wrist half the time. So once it gets down there, you can feel it. So you just shake it off, get rid of it, and keep going.
I didn't know if it was like you hurt your hand, but you did it so many times. I'm like, no, there's something he's doing to either prepare yourself. But then after many times, you have ice on your hand. You got skate off, and they bring you a bag of ice for your hand.
Yeah, yeah. You hit the helmet a lot. Back in my
which is insane.
Yeah, it's in the moment it doesn't hurt.
I got yeah.
But back in the day in juniors, it was called the dub spin. You'd square off with a guy to go fight, and you could take your helmet off and everything. So that was awesome because you didn't have to hit.
Why would you? But it's almost like a show of respect. If we're going to do this, you take yours off.
Yeah,
I take.
Yeah. So and then once you got to the NHL, there's no visors, so you could keep your helmet on. And I think at that point, they were starting to worry a little bit more about head injuries, guys falling. So that's always a bonus when you have a helmet on if you do fall, because if you do knock a guy out and he falls, the second blow is when their head hits the ice.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's probably worse off than the punch is them hitting their head on the ice. So they've done a good job as the evolution of the game is changing and stuff, and they're adding visors now. I think there's only 5 or 6 guys without visors now. They've kind of grandfathered it in. So, a lot of the times the refs will jump in if a helmet comes off just so they don't have that opportunity to fall and hit their head. So they're definitely trying to wean out unnecessary concussions, which is huge because there's, being on the Alumni now, you do see how many former players have issues with if it's CTE or head injuries and stuff like that. So it's a huge benefit for the younger guys coming up that they're taking care of more of.
And the refs generally don't get involved as soon as it goes to the ground, or if the players lock up and they're maybe up against the glass, then they'll come in and say, all right, enough.
Yeah, most of the time the guys that you're fighting for instance, me and Ryan Reeves, when he was in St. Louis, we fought 3 times, and there's a huge mutual respect. If our team was playing crappy and I asked him to fight, he'd give me one, and I'd repay him if their team was playing bad and he asked me. So, and most of the guys you fought, you'd get in the penalty box and sit there and BS with them for 5 minutes until you got out. How's the family? You guys staying in town? You want to grab a beer after the game? It was just your job, and there was no hard feelings against. Now, there are some guys that you don't like on the other team, but for the majority of them, 97% of the guys you had a big respect for. So even if a guy fell to one knee, you don't throw. You let him get back up and then keep going, because at the end of the day, I didn't care if I won or lost a fight. I just wanted a good fight. I wanted something to get the crowd going, my teammates going, and just have a good fight. So
the last thing I really observed, that also it's like the bridge between the Deryk that I know and this crazy fighter guy. Almost every fight that I saw, at the end of the fight, either you guys went down or it was broken up, you give a tap. Like, all right, hey, good job, good fight.
Yeah, that's just the respect. Yeah. Respect
like
for one another.
If I didn't know, it's like, oh, he's really there's a lot of respect there.
Yeah, it probably, in hockey, that's probably one of the things guys had the most respect for. Even if the guys on the team didn't fight, they had respect for those guys that went out there and policed the game and went and fought for the team type thing. So, you didn't get there on raw talent like a lot of guys had. I wish I had the talent that Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid had, but I wasn't gifted with that. And, I had to use my fists more times than not. But so there's a big respect for it from everyone on the team.
I'm making a little note here to make sure to ask you about something in a bit.
All right.
All right. Well, I appreciate you indulging me and explaining a little bit more about hockey to a guy that doesn't know much. Take me back to Edmonton. I'm curious, what was your life like for you growing up? What you mentioned your dad's a welder. What was the lifestyle like? Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I got 2 sisters, one older, one younger, 2 years older, a year and a half younger. So we were pretty close. I'm in the middle child syndrome. Yeah. Apparently my wife tells me that all the time, but, no, childhood was great. My dad was a welder and a millwright. Like I said, up to grade 6, we moved around a lot. I think I can't even count. I used to have a count. I think it was counting the 3 or 4 places we lived in Chetwynd that we live at now. It was like 17 different houses or something. And some of it's in the same town, but we moved a lot. My dad working and moving and getting promoted, different jobs, whatever. So moved around a lot, and, my childhood was great. From September to March, it was hockey. You don't realize it as a kid, how much your parents do for you as a kid, when you are playing a competitive sport. I'm finding that out now with tennis and all that. So, great appreciation for what my parents did for me. But, and then, summertime, there was no ice in the rinks in the small towns. So it was, baseball, lacrosse, soccer. You kind of play every sport, as much as you can. And, once we moved to Chetwynd, my parents bought a marina on the lake. My dad worked, as a millwright, but we'd run that in the summer, rent boats and campsites. So I'd work there in the summers and, tried to make a little bit of money for when I did go away and play hockey. So I had a little bit saved up, and my aunt and uncle also had a farm just outside of Edmonton. So I'd go back there and farm most summers during try to get out there because I could make good money because it's long hours every day, no days off. And I liked farming. If I wasn't a hockey player, it's could have been one of my things I got into working with my uncle on his farm. And, I think at 13, at 9, I was driving a full-size tractor packing silage. And at 13, he had me in a 3-ton dump truck, hauling silage down the highways, on the farms and stuff. So, from a young age,
it's crazy.
driving all that stuff. And it was a lot of fun. So
imagine your kids now at those ages
I
operating that machinery.
Cash next year it would be the same. I have them driving. We got side by sides. So I just got him a good friend. Just gave my kids his Polaris 570, so a little bit smaller of a side by side for them to learn how to drive on and stuff. But I grew up around that stuff, and I want to pass that along to my kids. And I love camping, the outdoors, and so do they. So it's with how the world is today and phones and all that stuff, it's nice to get away, and that's a good way to get away. We go up to Duck Creek a lot, and Utah, and around here in the desert, you can go anywhere. So you get out on the side by side, usually you a mile or two away from the road, and there's no cell service, and you kind of miss those days back then sometimes. So it's nice to get away and just turn off from what's going on.
Mm-hmm. How about your mom?
My mom, huge Oilers fan. To start that off. So when I signed in Calgary, she just about disowned me because the arch rivals there. So, but no, she was hardworking. She was a stay-at-home mom. She did run daycare out of our house when I was really young. Not really young, but when I was in school, she'd watch kids and stuff. And now she runs her bistro out of the library in Chetwynd. Crazy Beans Bistro, does specialty coffees and wraps and stuff like that. She's right next to the high school. So a lot of the kids from school go in there for lunch and breakfast and stuff like that. So it keeps her busy. She loves doing that. She does a lot of catering and stuff like that now. So she's, keeping busy with that. And, she was great. Her and my dad, like I said, now being a parent and seeing what they went through with just me, not counting my sisters, was crazy. And I'm going through it now with my son. And you don't see it as a kid. So,
were your sisters in competitive sports or?
No, my younger sister was into horses. She's still, into, that is, especially.
You were a bargain compared to her.
Yeah. Now she's into equestrian. Before she was in the barrel racing and stuff like that. And now you hear the prices on the horses that jump this much higher, a couple inches higher. It's just mind blowing. But, everyone wants that gene in their horse. So if you can train a horse, to jump really high and sell the offspring, it can be very lucrative. But, she loves that. They got I think 70 acres, just outside of Dawson Creek, which is an hour from my hometown. They're there. And my older sister went to school in Kamloops. I don't even remember what she went for. I think she went for like business. It just started, and then she never got into it. But she's still in Chetwynd up there, and that's about it.
So you started playing hockey because that's what everyone did, and then you got into competitive hockey. Was there a moment, or what point did you either know you wanted to go pro or had a sense that that's where you were going?
I think as a kid, when you're passionate about any sport, the end goal is turning pro. My son plays tennis, and his goal is to play professional tennis or college tennis, whatever it is. And, it's a long shot to get there, but you're never going to tell a kid that. So it started at a young age. I grew up in the 80s in Edmonton area. Well, that's when Gretzky and Messier and the dynasty in Edmonton was there. So I grew up a huge Oilers fan, from as far back as I remember to even earlier. My parents said they'd turn hockey on and I'd just be glued to the TV watching it. So I think from a young age, I really found a passion, a love for hockey. And along the road, man, I never thought I was going to get drafted as I got older. But then it happened, and getting drafted was, kind of just along my career, every couple of years, there was something that happened that gave me that extra, okay, I got to do more. and kept accomplishing goals and setting goals and hitting them. It took me longer to get to the NHL than a lot of guys, but stuck with it. And I never ever thought I was going to get a game in the NHL. I remember my 7th year pro before getting called up, as in Wilkes-Barre, and I was the final cut from Pittsburgh that year, and I would have made the team, but a guy got cut from Columbus, and Pittsburgh signed him, so I got booted down, which was crushing to me, but also good. I think I really buckled down after that, but I remember going
right there.
Yeah,
like, no,
yeah,
not quite
taken away, and I remember going down and getting sent down and met with Todd Reardon, who was a huge my coach in Wilkes-Barre and then in Pittsburgh as D coach, but he really helped me because he had a similar path as I did. So he's like, we got to work on footwork. He's like, you might not get that much faster, but if I write it down every day and send it into Pittsburgh and the scouts see it, when they come see you, the perception of you working on your footwork, they think you're faster, which was my biggest thing I needed to work on, was my foot speed. And, I still remember this day, him calling me in. We had a whole home game in Wilkes-Barre, and we were leaving right after to go, I don't know, somewhere in Connecticut, I think, to play the next night. And he called me in the office, and we had a terrible game. And I was one of the assistant captains then. And so I'm like, oh man, I'm going to get absolutely torn to shred in here. And he sat me down and he's like, we did it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you're leaving Philadelphia tomorrow morning at like 4 a.m. to fly to San Jose. You got called up. And I was just absolutely in shock because I never thought it was ever going to happen. I was getting older and there. So went told Melissa, we had friends in town too, and ran home, packed my bag, and took a car service to Philly, and didn't sleep a wink that night, jumped on a plane and flew to San Jose. So it was a pretty special moment that day.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So Melissa, you said her name a lot.
Yes.
Again, like I know you from, the context of you're another dad in the sports program that my son's in, and I got to really peel into a lot of your more public professional career.
Yeah.
And throughout it occurred to me that Melissa's been quite significant from, considerations with contracts to even pushing you to be the player that gave the now iconic speech in the first home game after October 1st, or 1 October as they call it.
Yeah.
Do I have that right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, she's been like a mentor to me almost. You see it with Cash and my other son. She's very goal oriented, which I wasn't. She's very scheduled. She's very on top of things. I'm sure most guys can say that about their wives. And, but she definitely helped me, set goals, throughout my career. If it was time on the ice or being the top penalty killer or fights or points or whatever it was, setting those goals and putting them somewhere and helped me along the way. The year after I got called up that summer, came back that summer, and I just started doing my normal workout routine. And I came home one day and she's like, here's Mark Phillippe's number, call him. You're going to go train with him. I'll work whatever job I need to work to pay for it. So she picked up, different promotional jobs and cocktailing waitress and just to pay for, cause we didn't make a whole lot of money in the AHL. And, so she really set my goals up and got me. I think she deserves a lot of credit for where I got in my career, because it really was changed who I was as a player off the ice. And, that translated to better player on the ice.
I wrote business like a business manager.
Yeah.
Hearing you, it's not like she's saying to you, it's important that you set goals. She's strategically thinking about and analyzing, these are the goals that are going to make a difference.
100%. Yeah. She's a very good motivational person. So, doesn't matter what it's for my hockey career, Cash with tennis, Talon with hockey. me doing the trail runs, you know, whatever it is. She's very motivational, and, you know, she's a person that doesn't put herself first very often. I try to tell her she needs to do more for herself, but she's putting everyone else first. So I have to thank her for that. She always put my career before anything on her plate, which, you know, if she didn't do that, I probably wouldn't have made it as long in my career or as far in my career. So a huge part of my career is thanks to her. And, you know, you said that the speech, you know, even that, I remember the team gave me a huge thing to try to memorize, and I showed her and she just laughed. She's like, there's no chance you're going to remember a quarter of this. So she really hit all the points in a short, something that she thought I could memorize and remember. So we worked on that together, but, you know, the words are mostly hers, because I'm never a big reader or anything like that. I'm good with numbers and math and stuff like that. And, but she helped me a lot with that. And, so, you know, whatever it is in my life or career, she was, right there with me, helping me through it. You know, even when the team was came here before that, when it was announced that they were coming here, we were building our house right across the street here. And, she had stuff in the house because we both wanted to come back here and play, if it was one season or whatever, to finish our career where it all started with the Wranglers. And, so she had my number, my name, Las Vegas. We didn't know the name at the time. So she was putting the vibe out there, you know, all over the house. There was sticky notes
the
everywhere.
Visualization, the manifestation, those kinds of things. It comes
true. Yeah. And, you know, and it eventually came true. So, she was, the front of all that.
You are not a credit taker. You're a credit giver, and that's great. That's who you are. It's, that in and of itself is a great quality. There are times though where you have to be a credit taker and say, yes, I did this. It's like, no, It's a team, you know, and I feel like she either did that for you or helped you with that.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. She, you know, look at it the training way. She can push me to do it, but I got to do the work. So yes, I got to take some credit I did credit myself even when I wasn't training probably the way I should have been. I always worked hard, and that was a big part of what got me. I was a hard worker, and I think, you know, I learned that from a young age with my dad, you know, how hard he worked and still works now. So it was kind of molded into me, and I didn't get to where I got on skills. It was hard work and grind. And, so that was a big quality that I had, that just her mentorship, I guess you could say, really helped get me to that next level.
Is it true that you guys slept in your car at some point as a young couple?
Yeah. Yeah. Minor leagues, like I said, you didn't make a whole lot of money. So we'd, I remember after second year, we bought a 2-wheel drive Yukon because we were in Vegas. So we didn't need 4-wheel drive, but then you go to the East Coast and the 2-wheel drive didn't work very much. But, yeah, we'd load that thing up right to the back of our heads. We'd have our whole life in that Yukon, and we'd drive across. And at the time, the team does pay for your expenses, but sometimes we didn't have the money to put down on a hotel. We needed it for gas to get back to Vegas or over to the East Coast. So we'd pull up in a Walmart parking lot and take a couple hours sleep and keep on the road. You know, I remember we drove from an hour east of Cleveland to Vegas, and we only stopped and slept for about an hour. So there was like 34 hours of driving. And, you know, you find out a lot about the significant other spending that much time. By the time we got here, and you know, when I drove to Calgary, she's like, I'll meet you up there. I'm going to fly. So it was, you know, it was probably a good thing. Yeah, I could cruise up there in one day. And, but, yeah, it was, a lot of long road trips with, me, her, and the Dutchie, our dog. But it was a lot of fun. We always we didn't fight in the drives, but it was always fun. And go back to that, and keeps you humble, I guess. You know, going through that grind, and you made us appreciate everything that we got when we did actually get to the NHL. You appreciate that a lot more, I think. I think going through all that tough times.
So you've been called a leader. You also have been recognized as a leader. 2018, Mark, how do you say his last name?
Messier,
French. Also the King Clancy Memorial Trophy. These are, I looked them up because, again, limited hockey knowledge. These are specifically recognized players who exhibit leadership on the ice, off the ice, in the community.
Yeah.
Where'd you learn leadership? Where did that come from?
I think it starts as a young age. You know, my dad is a good leader. You know, he worked hard. The hard work. You know, in hockey, you can't be a good leader if you don't work hard. If you're lazy and go through the motions, you're probably not a very good leader. So I think that quality helped me become a good leader as well. But I was blessed every stage of my career, wherever I was as a young person at that time, to have good leadership on the team to learn from. If going back to junior hockey, you know, as a 17-year-old, having the 20-year-olds or 21-year-olds on the team, you learn from those guys, and you take that to the next team that you go to, and those leaders on that team, you kind of group it all together. And
but you have to be receptive to that. You have to be open in order to even observe it.
Yeah, you want to take everything in, and
but not everyone does.
No, not everyone does. Definitely not. But for me, I think I'm not saying I didn't have skill. I had certain skills, you know, put my body on the line, all that stuff. But so you want to be a good leader, and I think a lot of guys that did fight were good leaders in the locker room because they're just good guys. Mm-hmm. And if you're a good guy, that's part of the thing. You want to be a good guy. You want to help. Going up to Pittsburgh, you had guys like Sidney Crosby and Malkin, Brooks Orpik, a lot of the older guys that first year, really, some of them were younger than me, took me under their wing, and, you know, it took a lot from that year and kind of brought it along in Pittsburgh. And then you go to Calgary as an older guy, and they're looking for that leadership because they have a young team. And I think it really started to come together. You know, you try to bring, when we were in Calgary, we had, you know, the married guys and the young kids, and it was like you leave the rink and it was two separate groups. And, you know, by the end of that year, I think before Christmas, we were way out of playoffs. And just before Christmas, me and my wife started being like, oh, let's get this team together. And I'm not going to say it's why we made the playoffs that year, but I think it had a big part, bring the team closer together.
You can take credit for that. That's okay.
Yeah, it's credit. Yeah.
See,
so
you're not a credit taker.
You know,
you're a credit giver.
Try to. But you know, those leadership qualities go a long way. And then here it was kind of, I was old. I was one of the old guys in the league, and being from here and no one else was, I think that really helped. You know, I was already involved in the community. I knew everything around, you know, if it was doctors or pediatricians for the guys with kids. So we really took it upon ourselves to help everyone that was coming to a brand new team, because usually it's 2 or 3 guys coming to a new team. The whole team's already been there, but this year it was, you know, 20 guys from 20 different teams, and I was the only one that lived here. So it was easier for me to help guys out and lead the team. And being an older guy, they're counting on you for your leadership. And
what age is old in hockey? Older, I should say.
I think once you get to your mid-30s, you're getting up there. And you know, I was fortunate enough to play till I was 37, 38. So for me, the way I played the game, I think that was much longer than I thought I was going to play. There's some guys that play into their 40s, early 40s. So If you can hit 40, that's outstanding. Your body's holding up and you can keep going. But, me hitting that age and still playing at the highest level was, every year I got was a bonus. So, I'd go into every summer thinking this was my last contract. And that kind of pushed me through the summer, to work harder and train harder, because every time you go on that ice, there's some young, you don't want to say punk, but young punk in your organization that's trying to take your spot. So, that kind of pushed me. We put off trips and going to see family so I could just train. And we had explained to our families, like, if you want to come see us, come down here. Everyone loves Vegas anyways, so it's not hard to coerce them to come down and see us. But that was my whole mindset: is this my last year? And I did that for last 3 or 4 or 5 years of my career. So I think that got me
3 to 5 years.
Yeah, 3 to 5 years extra. Yeah. So
you retired in 2020.
Yeah.
It was a weird time. It was COVID, but that was the right time for you.
100%. Like you said, extremely weird time. I could have went back to Calgary. I was offered, got a good relationship with the GM that was there. He's now in Toronto. He told me he wanted to sign me, but how times were and what those guys, they were planning on, you had to test every day and couldn't eat with the team, and you couldn't sit with anyone on the plane. I was like, to move my whole family, uproot them for 1 year wasn't worth it. And if I left, would I have a job with the team when I come back? So it wasn't worth it to leave for one year. I wanted to stay here. And fortunately enough, with Bill Foley and George McPhee and Krim, we got a contract right away for working with the team. So it made the transition very easy for me to jump out of hockey and right into a job with hockey and still be in it.
Tell me what age you were again when you retired, quote unquote retired?
So 2000, been 38.
38.
Or just before my 38th birthday, I guess.
So the last guest I had on this podcast, a guy named Brad Howard, from Ohio, moved to Vegas, entrepreneur, about our age also, exited his company a few years ago. So he has a impetus for like a financial retirement in a way, although he still is as busy as ever doing other things. But he talks about this concept of everyone should set themselves up to quote unquote retire or do like a midlife retirement, not necessarily financially, but more from a time perspective.
Okay.
Like set yourself up in a way where you can do things at this part of your life where you've got some resources, you're maybe not fully financially retired, but like spend time with your family, travel, explore your hobbies and passions. So you got to do that in a way, sort of a two-pronged thing, right? So there's that. The other part is you're transitioning from being a professional athlete to everyday life, so to speak.
Yeah.
I think you're fortunate that you had the job with the team.
Yeah.
I don't know that many other players have that luxury or benefit where they know exactly what they're going to be doing. So there's a sort of transition. What would you comment on both of those?
Yeah. It's like you said, I was very fortunate to go out of hockey right into a job. It was a whole COVID season, so we ended really late, and the season started a couple months later, so there wasn't much off time. Right back into a job, which was super nice. Too many guys do retire from hockey and then don't know what they're going to do. And, unfortunately, there's a lot of, substance abuse and, divorce and stuff like that because they go from this lifestyle to a completely different one and don't know what to do with themselves. So I was very fortunate to be in a job and have a good backing with my family and stuff like that. And it was a learning curve. That first 3 months was awesome because I'm home,
Mm-hmm.
wife's loving it. I'm helping out with the kids. Then it was about 6 months after that. It was, okay, we got to figure this out.
Boundaries.
You're around way too much. I have no time for myself. So it took us about 6 months to get our schedules. Okay. So I know Tuesdays and Thursdays when she's not teaching Pilates, when I leave to go to the rink, I don't come home till it's almost time to pick up the boys. We'll have a coffee. I'll go get the boys, whatever. But that's her time
That's so funny.
to stay out. I have to stay out of the house to give her that time, because when you're playing hockey, you're gone for a week, home for a week, gone for a week. She has that time to herself. So it was a good 6 months of figuring out where I fit in. You know, she would say I'm a very take control of everything. So, you know, I got home and I'm like, I got to do this, this, and this, and this, and this. And so I'm trying to do what I missed out on for all those years. She's like, you got to slow down. Like, we got to figure out what I can do, what she does.
What's the new rhythm?
Exactly. So took some time and it's been good now.
It was like a 3-day weekend. I don't know what it was, but I was at home on a day when I'm usually at work.
Yeah.
Same thing. Like, I'm getting into Danielle's business. Like, oh, do it like this or try that. And she's like, you just need to go.
Yeah. It's they do such a good job with the kids, and man, I don't know where I'd be without the scheduling, everything like that. So I got in my place real quick, as quick as I could, and I still probably a little overbearing at times, but you know, we work through it all, and it's good.
And what about time? Like, you get an enormous amount of time back, even though you're going from one, you know, quote unquote job to another job. How do you spend your time differently now?
Man, 2 boys, 12 and 8. That's, like I said, when you're a kid, you don't give your parents enough credit for what they do. And especially in the sports world, I'm right in the thick of that right now. It's my free time is their sports and what they want to do, or taking them here or there with their friends. And so it's full dad mode once in a while. You know, I've loved side-by-siding. We haven't had the side-by-side out since last Labor Day, which is unfortunate, but it's been so hot right now, and we ended up going to Europe for 3 weeks. So, you know, there's been some other fun stuff to do, but most of the time right now, it's at that age where the kids are doing that, and I love doing stuff with them. So that's my free time right now.
We'll do some rapid fire takeaways.
All right.
Before we do that, though, tell me again about the foundation, what it does, what you do there.
Yeah. So I'm the president of the Vegas Golden Knights Alumni Association. Right now it's still early because there's not very many of us. There is some. So the alumni, not just Vegas Golden Knights, excuse me. If you played in the NHL and now you reside here, you can be a part of the alumni. So we have.
Is it like that in other cities too?
Yeah. You can go jump on. The other cities have skates and stuff like that. You can go skate with them or help them out, the charity events and stuff. But right now it's still early. I got Rob Novotny, who's next our Air Force general. That helps me out with it a lot. Shane Knighty's the vice president. But right now we've had, you know, golf tournaments, huge success with those down at Southern Highlands, which has been phenomenal to work with. A couple poker tournaments. But we raise money, first responders, hunger, inner city, underserved communities. Those are our main pillars. Obviously, youth sports, stuff like that. So we raise the money that we can, and then we, you know, it's not massive amount of money, so we try to hit. Me and Rob like to say shots on goal as a hockey term, and just hit as many charities as we can with what we can. So we've been fortunate enough to meet some amazing people that are doing amazing things around the city, and donate to them, help them out. And, you know, it can only grow from here. Like I said, there's only a couple alumni guys. This golf tournament that we just had in April, we had Cody Eakin, Nick Holden, myself. The year before, James Neal came back for it. So we're starting to get some guys to come back and golf and that stuff. But it's growing, and I think once more guys are here, we'll be able to keep growing it more and more, and do more fundraisers and give more back to the community.
That's great. All right, rapid fire takeaway.
All right,
what's your favorite beer?
IPA.
Do you think you'll ever get on the ice again as a player and not any kind of league or anything?
Maybe beer league when it gets, as more guys retire, start playing some beer league hockey with them or get skating with some guys. But right now, I don't know if my hip could go through it right now. I just coach for a couple hours the last couple of days and my hip's in one. So we'll see how that goes.
All right. So you were raised as an athlete and achieved the dream of becoming pro. You mentioned your two sons are currently youth athletes. How is it different today being a youth athlete versus when you were coming up?
Man, I think technology, obviously now for good and bad, is much different than it was back then. You know, not just everyone says screen time's bad, but the technology for the good too, in training and health and food and how you take care of yourself is much different now than back then. Another big difference that I see now is, you know, like I said earlier, I played from September to March and then I was done for the summer. I'd play other sports and now it's, you know, you go from normal fall league to spring league to summer league, back into fall league, and there's no break. So I think that's a big difference. I think it was good for me to, as a kid, and I try to tell my son that, to have those breaks where you miss the game and you want to get back out there. You know, a big part of trying to teach my son find balance between too much and not enough, and find that perfect in between.
Every word you say, by the way.
Oh my God. I could tell you, and you could tell him my exact words, and the reaction I would get compared to you would be complete opposite. Yeah, exactly. But you know, that's probably the biggest difference. You know, it's almost a full-time job now as a kid. You're going all the time, and the talent level now is, which, you know, probably translate to them playing more, is so high. It's crazy what some of these young kids can do. But I still think there's to take a break or cross train, play a different sport, which every sport, no matter what you're doing, is going to translate to the sport you fall in love with. And that's your main focus, you know. Play soccer, it's going to work on your footwork, you know, baseball, hand-eye, everything's going to translate over. Tennis, man, that's just mentally, that's a grind.
Do you play with Cash?
I try to. He gets so frustrated.
Because you can't play?
Because I can't play, and he thinks because I'm an athlete I can play tennis. It's so hard. I don't know. I need to take a few lessons. So I'm
in the same boat. Like, I'll try and smack it around with Nathan, and I'm bigger than him.
Yeah. So
I can do a little, but when we play, like really play, if we like, instead of just hitting it around and we match play, I have zero chance.
Yeah.
They just have technique and I have no technique.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Unless if I can serve one in and just go to the net, and you know, that's the only way I can.
But you can't do that the whole game.
No.
You're not going to.
He's going to lob over and then I have to run back for it. But yeah, it's a frustrating sport. You know, I could go pick up a football and play catch all day long. I need to take some lessons for tennis for sure.
You tried pickleball?
I have done pickleball. Cash did a camp once. He loved it. There's no stress involved.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's more social, less hard on the hips and joints and stuff like that. I have tried padel as well, which is big in Europe. It's a lot of fun. It's where the plexiglass is behind you.
I haven't seen it at all.
Oh, it's so much fun.
I got to check that out.
Yeah, it's a
we
fun
go to
game.
Lifetime sometimes and play. So like Nathan and I are on a team.
Oh yeah.
And obviously a lot of tennis translates into pickleball, and he just is really good. And he just gets on my case. Why'd you lob it up to him? Like, I'm not trying to lob. I'm just trying to get it back over.
Yeah, exactly.
It just happened to go up, and the guy smashed it. I mean, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
He talks so much shit to me. What's the likelihood that Fleury moves back to Vegas and joins you as a Golden Knights alum?
Well, I think he'll be an alum either way, but I'd say the chances are pretty good that he comes back eventually. I'm hoping he does. We're super close friends. Our kids are very good friends. So It's looking that way. You never know what's going to happen, but I'm hoping, still keeping that hope alive.
Any other players that you want to make a prediction on?
Well, I'm good friends with Revo still. His house is here. He comes back every summer. He'll be back here. Current Knights now, I'm not too sure. I know Nick Holden still has a house here, but I definitely think there'll be quite a few guys that, if not retire here, have their house here where they can, maybe they go back to Canada for the summer, because who wants to be up there in the winter when you can be down here when it's 40, 50, 60 degrees down here. So unless you really love the winter, you're probably coming here for that part.
You can only pick one favorite memory from your pro career.
Only one. That's tough. Got to say the first game.
Here?
First pro game.
Oh, okay.
I would say first game here is definitely right up there, but the first game here doesn't happen if I don't have a first game. And I think that very first game, unfortunately, none of my family came out there. They couldn't make it. My wife couldn't make it. But just finally, after 6.5 years in the minors, finally got that shot to play in the NHL, and it was pretty special. I'm sure most guys would say that's probably up there as their top thing that during their career. Extremely nervous. Didn't know how much I was going to play. Unfortunately, but fortunately for me, my D partner ended up getting hurt early in the game, which Brooks Orpik, a very close friend of mine, got hurt. So we went down to 5D. So I played more minutes than I was supposed to, which makes the game much easier. Because you're go. They're not shortening the bench. You're going, not thinking about it, which made that first game, I think I played 18.5 minutes, which I probably only played 13 or 12, if you didn't get hurt. So definitely made it a lot easier to get going with it.
You've been all over the world. What would you say Las Vegas means to you?
It's home. It's, I grew up in Canada. I actually just started my process for citizenship. My green card's up in a couple of years. So finally did that. Go for my fingerprints on the 1st next Thursday.
Good luck.
So yeah. Got the test, the cheat sheet test all printed out. So trying to study that, and my Cash laughs at me because he knows all of it and I don't. But it's home. It's a great community. It's, everyone thinks of the Strip, and I'm sure everyone says this, but there's so much more outside. It's a very outdoorsy, very small, big city. You meet so many people that you have mutual friends with, or through mutual friends that you become friends with. And there's so much to offer here. 4 hours, if you time the traffic right, you're on the beach, southern Utah, skiing, Mount Charleston. So there's so much stuff to do around here. It's just, I don't see myself living anywhere else.
Me either. We have that in common.
Yeah.
Do you have a personal motto or guiding value that you live by?
Yeah, kind of cliche, but that old hard work, that's what got me where I went. And, we have a motto in our house, every day, that you just get 1% better, by working hard and working at your goals. Trying to instill that in my kids. And, I think that motto got me to where I got to in my career, going by it.
I wrote an ending question. Before I ask you an ending question, anything else you want to share?
Man, I think we hit most of it. That's my life story. No, I just want to say thanks for having me on. This was a lot of fun.
For me too.
Yeah, it's great to get to know you over the last couple of years, and hopefully we'll see you at some more UFC fights in the future.
We should do that more. That was a fun night. You're uniquely able to answer this question. What advice would you give a young person today that is aspiring to be a pro athlete?
Oh, just work hard, have fun out there. I think some kids get away from the fun aspect. Like you're playing a sport, it should be fun. It shouldn't be stressful. Just go out, have fun, work hard. And then, the biggest thing that I can say is, anyone can work on their strengths, but to get better, you need to work on your weaknesses. And I think that first year I got called up, that's what I did. I worked on my weaknesses and finally got a shot. So, the things that are uncomfortable to you, work on those because it'll make you a much better at anything in your sport.
Awesome. So on a personal note, I'll tell you, as someone who is born and raised here in Las Vegas, the impact that not just the Knights have made, but through your own efforts that you continue to do, it's meaningful and it's appreciated by the community. So thank you for all that.
Thank you.
You're making a difference.
Well, thank you very much. It's a great community. It's fun to give back. It's, every hockey guy, I think, without fans or the community that supports you, you wouldn't have a hockey team. You wouldn't have a job in hockey. So I think most hockey guys, I'm pretty sure I could speak for all of them, want to give back to the community they call home for either their life or, the 9 months that they're here for the season. So Vegas has got a special place in my heart and always will. And I just love being out there in the community, giving back.
Awesome. We'll keep doing it. And if there's any way we can help with what you're doing, please let us know.
Sounds great.
Thank you, Deryk.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. I would love to hear from you about your takeaways from this episode. Make sure to leave us a comment or leave us a review. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can hear future episodes as they come out. My name is Hayim. Tune in next time.